My best friend got pregnant by my husband, and then, as if that wasn't enough, my mother started to persuade me to give them full custody of my children. I was still clapping when I realized I didn't know she was seeing anyone. They had rented out the entire space. There were balloons with her name. Her parents were there. My mother was there. My husband had been the one to convince me to come. Said she'd been distant lately and probably needed support. Said she was emotional. Said I'd regret it if I skipped it. She was my best friend since high school. Maid of honor at my wedding. Godmother to both of my kids. Her calls slowed down after my youngest was born, but I assumed it was work. She said she wasn't dating, said she was tired of men, said she wanted to freeze her eggs soon just in case. My husband kept making toasts. Everyone kept commenting on how supportive he was. He gave a speech about stepping up when a child enters the world, even if the circumstances aren't simple. That's when it clicked. He avoided my eyes for the rest of the night. She kept reaching for his shoulder like it was nothing, like they'd already gotten past the hard part and were just smoothing it over now. I stood there next to the kids while people asked if I was surprised. I said yes. After the party, he said he'd take the kids home. I said I'd stay behind and help her clean. I needed to hear her say it. I asked who the father was. She blinked like I'd kicked her. Said she wasn't ready to talk about it. Said she didn't want to make things messy. Said it wasn't what it looked like. I didn't scream. I didn't ask again. I just picked up plates and cups and threw them in the trash one by one until she stopped standing near me. When I got home, the kids were in bed and he was watching TV like nothing had changed. He asked if I wanted to talk. I said no. I locked myself in the guest room. The next morning, he made breakfast for the kids and acted normal. She texted me asking if I could meet her for coffee. I blocked her. I didn't say anything to my mom at first. I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe they were just being weird. Maybe it was a donor. Maybe I was going crazy. But then my mom called and asked if I was okay. I asked what she meant. She said it must be hard seeing someone else get the attention right now. That was the start of it. He didn't deny it when I finally asked. He said it had been a mistake, but that he'd take care of the baby. Said I should be mature about it. Said the kids deserved a peaceful environment. He didn't apologize. He didn't cry. He didn't even look embarrassed. I asked when it started. He said a few months after my second pregnancy. Said I wasn't myself. Said she was lonely and they were drunk. Then it happened again. Then it kept happening. Said they didn't mean for it to go this far. I didn't hit him. I didn't scream. I told him I'd need a few days. He said he understood. I left with the kids and went to my sister's. He texted me updates like I was on a trip. He said she wanted to be involved in their lives as a friend. I didn't answer. My mother showed up 3 days later with a casserole and a lecture. Said these things happen. Said I shouldn't throw away a family over one mistake. Said children need a father. Said if I made things hard, they'd remember. I told her it wasn't a mistake. I told her it was a child. She didn't blink. She asked what I expected. Said I'd let myself go. Said I was always tired. Said maybe I wasn't paying enough attention. I told her I was raising 2 children. She said so was he now. That was when I stopped crying. She said I needed to make peace. Said it was better to work together. Said maybe I could help raise the new baby. Said it wouldn't be fair to separate the siblings. I asked if she was serious. She said yes. Said I should think about what kind of example I wanted to set. I left the room. She kept talking. I didn't go back. My sister offered to help with legal stuff. I hadn't even said the word divorce out loud yet. I was still brushing my teeth with the same hand I wore the ring on. I was still checking his location out of habit. Still buying the snacks my kids said Daddy liked. He kept sending texts. Said the kids missed him. Said she wanted to meet them slowly. Said I should be open-minded. He still hadn't said sorry. That week, I changed the locks on the house. He came by and stood outside like he didn't understand. Said we needed to talk. I told him he could talk through a lawyer. He called me heartless. Said I was punishing him for something that had nothing to do with the kids. That's when I knew. He thought I was the one breaking up the family. They posted a picture a few days later. Him with his hand on her belly. Caption said, "Our miracle." I stared at it for 20 minutes. Not angry, just stunned. Then my mom called again. Said I was being immature. Said I should think about full custody. Not for him, for her. Said it might be better for the kids in the long run. Said she had more energy. Said I was drowning. That was the moment I realized they weren't just trying to replace me in his life. It started with a manila envelope on my porch. No knock, no message. Just left there, sealed, like a warning. I opened it in the kitchen while my youngest was finishing her cereal. I read the first sentence and had to sit down. He was filing for joint custody. Not just weekends, full decision-making rights. At the bottom, there was a handwritten note. Not from him. from her. She hoped we could all be civil for the sake of the kids. Her name was signed under future stepmother. I called my lawyer that day. He didn't just want shared custody. He wanted the kids half the week, overnight. Said he could provide a more stable environment with help from his domestic partner. That's what he called her? Domestic partner. Like this was a business arrangement. Like the last 10 years never happened. He listed my schedule, my stress, my sister's apartment as temporary housing, said I was emotionally reactive, said I was making it hard for the children, said they were confused. My lawyer asked if I had any texts, anything with him admitting to the affair. I showed her everything. She nodded, said we'd fight it. Then my mother called again. She said I was being stubborn, said she talked to him, said he didn't want to go to court, said I could avoid it if I just cooperated. I told her she had no place getting involved. She said she was thinking of the kids, said she was thinking of their future, said she didn't want to see them grow up in chaos. I asked if she was taking his side. She said she wasn't taking sides, she was taking responsibility. That's when I asked if she really believed I wasn't capable of raising my own children. She didn't answer, just said I needed to stop being so angry. That same night, I saw them at the grocery store. Him, her, and a cart full of organic snacks my kids loved. She waved like we were friends. I left without paying. A few days later, a parenting coordinator emailed me. They wanted to meet, mediate, talk through a plan that made everyone feel safe. I didn't respond. My oldest started asking questions, asked why she hadn't seen Daddy in so long, asked why Grandma kept saying things that weren't true. I told her we'd talk soon. I didn't lie, but I didn't explain everything either. That week, I dropped them at school and went straight to the house. My name was still on the deed. He hadn't changed the locks. I walked into the bedroom and took everything that belonged to me, my clothes, my jewelry, even the lamp I liked. I left the mattress. He texted that night, furious, said I was being dramatic, said she was pregnant and stressed, said I had no right to disrupt their home. I didn't answer. The next morning, I got a voicemail from my mom. She was crying, said she was worried about me, said I was shutting people out, said maybe I should consider mediation again. I blocked her number. That weekend, he showed up at the school. Tried to pick up the kids early from soccer practice, said he had the right, said it was his day. The coach called me. I showed up in 10 minutes and had him escorted off the property. He stood there like he couldn't believe I'd do it. Then the calls started. His friends, his aunt, even one of my old coworkers, all saying I needed to be the bigger person, all saying I was making things worse. None of them asked how I was. He filed a motion for emergency visitation, said the kids were being alienated. I sent in the screenshots, the cake, the texts, the posts. She posted another photo, nursery setup, his hand on her stomach again, my son's drawing taped to the crib. That same week, my lawyer called me with a tone I hadn't heard yet. She said they were changing strategy, said they were requesting primary custody now, said they had my mother's written statement as support. She had signed something saying I was emotionally unstable since the separation, that I was prone to anger, that I lashed out in ways that worried her. She listed 3 examples, all taken out of context. All things I had vented about during breakdowns after being blindsided by betrayal. Things she swore would stay between us. She gave them that. The next morning, I drove to her house. She opened the door like nothing was wrong, said she was just trying to help, said the judge would listen to her, said if I didn't fight it, maybe they'd be willing to let me see the kids every weekend. She said it like a gift. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't even go inside. I just turned around and left. She called after me. I didn't turn back. That week, my daughter cried herself to sleep, asking why Grandma wasn't calling anymore. I didn't have an answer. Then I got an email from my ex. He said he wanted to extend an olive branch. Said they'd be willing to drop the request for full custody if I signed an agreement giving them primary residence status during the school year. Said I'd get holidays and summers. I stared at that sentence for a long time. He thought he could wear me down. I didn't respond. I went straight to my lawyer. Told her we'd go to court. Told her I wanted everything documented. Every message, every visit, every passive-aggressive photo. She said it might take months. I said I'd wait. I pulled the kids from soccer, changed schools, got a job with better hours, rented a small house near my sister. Every night, I put them to bed and stared at the ceiling until morning. He filed a complaint saying I was restricting access. I sent my lawyer a copy of the messages where he'd told me I was unfit. She added them to the case. My mother sent a birthday card to my daughter a month later, said she missed her, said she hoped to see her in her new home soon. The courtroom was smaller than I thought it would be. I sat next to my lawyer and didn't look at them. He wore a suit that didn't fit right. She was showing by then, standing behind him like she belonged. My mother sat on their side. My lawyer told me not to react, said the judge would be watching everything. I nodded. I kept my hands still. I kept my jaw tight. They presented their version, said I was unstable, said I made it impossible to co-parent, said I was unpredictable. My mother confirmed it, said I'd been that way since college, said I lashed out, said I held grudges. My ex didn't mention the affair, just said we drifted, said he found love unexpectedly, said he never meant to hurt anyone. They passed around a folder of photos, birthday parties at their house, drawings from my kids, her smiling with them, my mother in the background holding cake. They painted me as angry, cold, bitter. My lawyer asked the judge if she could speak plainly. She did. She laid out the timeline, the affair, the pregnancy, the texts, the social media posts, the attempt to gradually insert this woman into my children's lives without consent. She pointed out that no apology had ever been made, that every step taken had been performative, calculated, strategic. She showed messages from my mother pressuring me to surrender custody, messages from him describing me as emotional, hysterical, unwell, while in the same breath asking if I'd be okay with him claiming the child tax credits. When it was my turn to speak, I didn't tell a story. I just confirmed facts. I stated names, dates, actions. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. The judge asked if I had anything to say about the other woman's involvement. I said she was not family, that she had no legal right to my children, that any attempt to establish a bond had been orchestrated during an active betrayal. I said my children had a mother, and that was enough. We waited 2 weeks. I kept my phone off most of that time. The kids were back in school. My sister helped with pickups. I didn't talk to anyone. The ruling came through email. He was granted scheduled visitation, weekends twice a month, no overnights for 6 months, no shared holidays, no custody, no shared decision rights, just supervised access for now with a review next year. She wasn't mentioned once. My mother called 2 days later, left a voicemail saying she was disappointed, said I should have compromised, said I was robbing the kids of a stable household. I deleted it. She sent a letter, said she never meant to hurt me, said she just wanted what was best, said maybe one day I'd understand. I mailed it back, unopened. A month later, they sent a Christmas card, family photo, him, her, their newborn, and my kids, from a supervised visit. She had written, "From all of us," on the bottom. I put it in a box and shoved it in the back of a closet. That spring, my daughter asked if she could bring a friend to her school recital. I asked who. She said Auntie Lila. She didn't say Grandma. She didn't say Dad. Just Auntie Lila. I said yes. She stood in the front row, smiling, taking videos. Afterwards, she gave my daughter a bracelet and a hug. She looked at me like I was still a stranger, like she had no idea what I'd been through. I nodded at her. That was it. I started therapy. Not because I needed to heal, but because I wanted language. I wanted to explain what had happened to me in simple terms if anyone asked. I wanted to be able to say it out loud without flinching. They still post photos. Her, him, the baby. Sometimes my kids, if he remembers his scheduled visits. My mother comments on all of them, says how proud she is, calls them her beautiful family. I don't reply. The kids know the schedule. They pack their bags without fuss. They come back quiet, sometimes confused, but they're adjusting. I don't trash talk him. I don't bring up what happened. I let the silence explain it. Once my daughter asked why Grandma doesn't visit anymore. I told her Grandma made a choice. That's all I said. She nodded. That was enough. They invited me to the baby's christening. I didn't send a gift. 3 weeks ago, I got an email from a family mediator. Said he wanted to revisit the custody agreement now that the baby's older and they have extra support. Said they're more stable now. I forwarded it to my lawyer. Didn't respond. The truth is, I don't care what they think anymore. I don't care if they try again. I've already won. Not legally, not socially, just in the way that matters.